Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Earthling Weight Loss. Thank you for tuning in again today. Today's topic is one that I am fairly passionate about because you guys have seen my other videos. You know that I love debunking myths. Following this lifestyle is a little bit like seeing into the Matrix sometimes, because you start to realize that there are just so many lies that people commonly believe. And this isn't their fault, it's just information that we grow up hearing and we kind of learn not to question. The one that I have in mind and the topic of today's video is on dairy, especially milk, and why exactly we have been told from a young age that milk helps to build strong bones and teeth. So if I were to ask, what is a good source of calcium, you're likely going to say milk. And today, the dairy industry grosses over $11 billion just for milk, and over $16 billion for cheese, just in the US alone annually. So first of all, what is milk? Milk is a white liquid produced by the mammary glands of mammals. It is the primary source of nutrition for young mammals before they can handle solid food. Early lactation milk contains colostrum, which carries the mother's antibodies to the baby, which is vital for supporting a strong immune system to give that baby animal the best shot at life. As an agricultural product, milk is extracted from mainly bovine species, aka cows, during or soon after pregnancy to be used as a food for humans. For humans, because the females in our species also produce milk, the World Health Organization recommends mothers to breastfeed exclusively for the first 6 months of their baby's life, and then to breastfeed in addition to other food for the first 2 years of life. Demand for milk has grown over time because the belief that it is a healthy component of one's diet has spread throughout all parts of the world. Milk has become a daily commodity and is viewed as a necessary part of a well-balanced diet. Over the last 3 decades of the 19th century, demand for milk in most parts of the country doubled and in some cases tripled. So chemically speaking, milk is an emulsion of butterfat globules within a water-based fluid that contains carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Because it is produced as a food source for young calves, all the nutritional components would support a calf's growth. So let's talk a little bit about fat. The fat globules are triglycerols, and these are surrounded by a membrane of complex lipids, like phospholipids, along with proteins. They act as an emulsifier, which protect the contents of the globules from the various enzymes in the fluid portion of the milk. The largest structures in the fluid component of milk are the casein micelles, which are the units of several thousand protein molecules, which are bonded with the help of nanometer-scale particles of calcium phosphate. This is where the calcium comes from in milk. So the casein proteins make up about 76 to 80% of the protein in the milk, and the other percentage goes to whey protein. Milk contains several carbohydrates, galactose, glucose, lactose, and other oligosaccharides, which are medium chain length carbohydrates. The lactose is a disaccharide that gives milk its sweet taste and is composed of galactose and glucose. So lactose has to be cleaved by an enzyme in our small intestine called lactase in order for its constitutes, galactose and glucose, to be absorbed. The production of this enzyme, lactase, declines significantly as the animal grows. Consequently, many humans also become unable to digest lactose as they mature. An individual that consumes lactose without having sufficient lactase may suffer from diarrhea, intestinal gas, bloating, and abdominal cramps, as the undigested lactose travels through our gastrointestinal tract and serves as nourishment for our intestinal microflora that excrete gas in a process known as fermentation. It is estimated that 30 to 50 million Americans are lactose intolerant, including 75% of Native Americans and African Americans, and 90% of Asian Americans. Lactose intolerance is less common among people descended from Northern Europeans. Other components of raw cow's milk are living white blood cells, mammary gland cells, various bacteria, and a large number of active enzymes. So now that we know what milk is, we now need to discuss whether it's a food that we should incorporate into our diet. The U.S. federal government document, Dietary Guidelines for Americans, edition 2010, recommends 3 glasses of milk to be consumed by adults and children over the age of 9. This recommendation is disputed by some health researchers who say that calcium can be found in other food sources. And there certainly are, given that as that cow was growing, it was consuming plant food throughout its life that made it possible for there to be calcium in milk. Calcium is actually a mineral that comes from the soils of our earth. Plants absorb this basic element present in watery solutions through their roots and then incorporate it into their various tissues. Their roots, stems, leaves, flowers, and fruits. The skeletons of our most massive animals on our planet, like giraffes, elephants, and hippos, can be formed from the raw materials from plant matter. So there is actually more than sufficient calcium in plant food to support the relatively small-sized human skeleton. The Office of Dietary Supplements recommends that healthy adults between the ages of 19 and 50 consume 1,000 milligrams of calcium a day. But studies actually show that the human body can only retain about 550 milligrams of calcium a day. American government's promotion of milk has been criticized before, as the idea that large doses of calcium will contribute to a stronger bone structure and stronger teeth actually does not have any sound evidence. Some studies have shown that there is actually no connection between the intake of calcium in any form in the reduced risk of bone fracture in women ages 34 to 71. Another thing to consider also is that the protein in milk makes it an acidic food. And once consumed, food-derived acid must be neutralized. So the bones in our body actually begin to dissolve in order to neutralize this acidity. In a relevant study, researchers said that the protein content in milk may have a negative effect on calcium balance, possibly through an increase in kidney losses of calcium, or through a direct effect on bone reabsorption. Trying to explain why the individuals that were receiving milk were in a worse calcium balance, they said that this may have been due to the 30% increase in protein intake during milk supplementation. Many official bodies give advice on desirable calcium intake, but no clear evidence of a calcium deficiency disease in otherwise normal individuals has ever been given. In Western countries, the average calcium intake is between 800 and 1,000 milligrams of calcium per day, and in many developing countries, figures between 300 and 500 milligrams a day are found. And there is no evidence that people with these lower intakes have any issues with their bones or teeth. It seems that people can adapt to have a normal calcium balance, even on diets as low as 150 to 200 milligrams of calcium a day. And this adaptation is even sufficient in pregnancy and lactation. Inappropriate concern about calcium intake may divert attention and resources away from more important nutritional issues. Contrary to the dairy industry's marketing campaigns, reviews of scientific literature have concluded that extra dietary calcium during childhood does not contribute to strong bones or teeth. A review published in the March 2005 Journal of Pediatrics focused on the benefits of dairy products and concluded that scant evidence supports nutrition guidelines, focused specifically on increasing milk consumption and other dairy products for promoting child and adolescent bone mineralization. A recent meta-analysis of the October 2006 issue of the British Medical Journal found the small effect of calcium supplementation on bone mineral density in the upper limb is unlikely to reduce the risk of fracture, either in childhood or later adult life, to a degree of major public health importance. The authors state that their findings mean that dairy products offer no bone-strengthening effect. Even studies that used intakes of 1,400 milligrams did not show any benefit. So the minimum requirement for calcium based on research is between 150 and 200 milligrams of calcium a day. The average calcium intake for underdeveloped countries is 300 to 500 milligrams a day. The calcium intake for average Americans is between 500 and 600 milligrams a day. The World Health Organization advises between 400 and 500 milligrams a day. And then we have the USA Food and Nutrition Board that are saying between 1,000 and 1,300 milligrams a day. And then we have the American National Institute of Health that is suggesting between 1,000 and 1,500 a day. So these recommendations are hugely off the board of what we're expected to need. Our gastrointestinal tract, our bones, and our kidneys are all responsible for regulating our calcium balance. And an interesting thing happens when our diets are relatively low in calcium. The cells of our intestinal tract will actually act more vigorously to absorb a higher percentage of the calcium from our food. At the same time, our kidneys will act to conserve the calcium in our body. So the dairy industry is based around marketing milk as a good source of calcium, which it is. It's a very rich source of calcium, but just like in the case of protein, calcium consumed in excess of our dietary needs are excreted through our urine. Plus, the acidic nature of animal-based calcium contributes to further kidney losses of calcium. All of our lives, we have been told to drink milk to strengthen our bones, but this is just not the truth. Didn't you think it was ever peculiar how humans are the only species that consume another species' milk after our weaning period? You definitely would not be weird questioning this. Let's compare human and cow's milk. So in human milk, the protein content is 1.2 grams per 100 milliliters, and the growth period, the amount of time that it takes for a human baby to double its own birth weight, is 180 days. In comparison, the protein content of cow's milk is 3.3 grams of protein per 100 milliliters, and a baby cow is able to double its birth weight after 47 days. So even just protein content is quite different because humans require a longer time to grow, and we do not grow to sizes nearly as large as cows do. The calcium content of human milk is 45 milligrams per 100 calories, and in cows it is 194 milligrams per 100 calories. Not surprisingly, since a calf doubles its own birth weight nearly 4 times as fast as a human being does, the concentrations of protein and calcium are nearly 4 times greater. Rapid growth requires a much higher density of all types of nutrients. Cow's milk is the ideal food for baby cows. This is what allows it to grow from a 60-pound calf at birth to a 600-pound cow in 1 year's time. So our first myth debunked is that dairy helps to build strong bones. There is little to no evidence on this, and some studies even show that it has a detrimental effect to our skeletons. Okay, so the second part of our topic is, since Earthling Weight Loss promotes foods that confer weight loss and health benefits, are dairy products effective for these goals? So cow's milk is 50% fat and also has high concentrations of protein, potassium, sodium, calcium, and other nutrients to sustain the cow's rapid growth. A meta-analysis for the literature for properly designed studies found only 1 of 17 studies that showed weight loss in people taking calcium pills. And of the 9 randomized studies that used liquid cow's milk, 2 showed significant weight gain, and none showed significant weight loss. In one study funded by the International Dairy Foods Association, 204 healthy men and women were asked to increase their skim milk and 1% milk consumption by 3 cups a day for 12 weeks. Those consuming the extra milk gained on average 1.32 pounds, and that was on skim and 1% milk, so not even 2% or full-fat milk, and certainly not cheese, which would have had an even greater impact on weight gain. Dairy products are loaded with fat that are easily stored as body fat. As you may remember from my videos on fat metabolism, it only requires 2 to 3% of the energy in a fat molecule to convert it to body fat. This is a very simple, efficient process that is made even more efficient by the addition of sugar, which is also present in milk. So as I've explained before, sugar itself does not turn to fat. This is energetically costly. However, it does influence insulin production, which does have a connection to fat gain in our body. Milk is no exception and has both fat and sugar, making it a perfect food if you'd like to put on the pounds. Say if you're tired of being slim and healthy and you'd like to gain some fat and increase your risk of developing diabetes, heart disease, and other dietary related illnesses, for sure have some ice cream, for sure have a glass of milk, and go ahead, eat some cheese. And of course, since dairy products have cholesterol in them, we can even more dramatically increase our risk of obesity and disease. But seriously guys, dairy foods is a topic that I've been wanting to debunk for a while now, because we see them in so many products. If the main selling feature of a product is that it has calcium in it, there are much better sources to get this mineral. I've also talked about just the protein content in milk compromises the calcium's effect. and may be detrimental to your existing bones. At some point, we have to just shake our heads and call bullshit. Our requirements for calcium can be easily met with plant-based foods, which do not have the fat, the cholesterol, and the acidic protein that animal products do. Instead, they have vitamins, minerals, fiber, antioxidants, and water, all things that will keep you in excellent health. If you got anything out of this video, please feel welcome to share, comment, and like. It is very important to me to get this information out to people that are trying to improve their health status. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to my channel. I do nutrition-related science topics usually, and some other nutrition-related stuff as well. Have an abundant day, Earthlings, and see you next video. Bye.